This network of active, connecting nodes is exactly what we're aiming for today, successfully deploying a live, continuous Node.js server process onto your cPanel hosting. Historically, cPanel was built to serve static files and PHP scripts that only run when a user requests a page. Node.js is different. It requires a continuous background server process, which makes deploying it in a traditional hosting environment feel complex and tricky to configure. Take a look at this mock-up of the cPanel dashboard. Specifically, we are looking at the software section. To find out if your setup can handle Node, log in and look for either the Setup Node.js app or the Application Manager icon. If neither of those specific icons is present, your current hosting plan does not support Node.js. You will not be able to proceed using this method. Verifying your server compatibility before writing a single line of code is your most important step. It prevents hours of useless troubleshooting on a server that simply lacks the necessary backend tools. Now that we know your host supports it, let's write a minimal Express app locally on your computer. You only need 2 files to start: an app.js file for your code and a package.json file to track your project information. A common trap beginners fall into when writing their server file is hard-coding a specific local port, like port 3000. While that works perfectly on your own computer, it will cause an immediate crash on shared hosting because you do not have permission to expose arbitrary public ports. Look at this sample Express script. Notice the highlighted line. We use const port equals process.env.port port 3000. This small change tells cPanel to dynamically assign an available port for the live server, while still letting you use port 3000 locally. Test your app locally in your browser first. You want to guarantee your core code works in isolation before introducing any external server variables. With the local test passing, we can prepare your project folder for transfer to the live cPanel server. This diagram shows exactly what goes to the server and what stays behind. The local node modules folder is your enemy here. It is massive, slow to upload, and contains machine-specific code that will likely break when dropped onto a Linux server. So explicitly exclude the node modules folder from your upload batch. A minimalist upload prevents platform mismatch errors. It forces the server to build exactly what it needs natively, using its own architecture. Open the cPanel file manager to establish the destination environment for your isolated files. Create a brand new directory named Node.app. Make sure to create this specifically outside of the public_html root folder. This mockup shows the structure we want. Upload your isolated app.js, package.json, and packagewalk.json files and deposit them inside the newly created Node.app directory. Double-check that the file names inside your cPanel directory match your local project exactly. Linux servers are case-sensitive, so a capital letter in the wrong place will cause the app to fail. Placing this directory outside of your public HTML folder is a foundational security practice. It ensures your backend application logic is protected and cannot be directly downloaded by anyone visiting your site. Return to your cPanel dashboard. Open the Setup Node.js App tool and click Create Application to open your configuration blueprint. Select the Node.js version supported by your host and set the application mode strictly to development while we test the initial connection. In the application root field, type exactly what you named your directory so it perfectly matches the Node.app folder you just populated. Next, define the startup file name field so it perfectly matches your primary script, app.js. Take a moment to review this. A single typo in either the root or startup fields is the leading cause of immediate deployment crashes. Execute the configuration by clicking the Create button. This generates the virtual server environment. The cPanel configuration form is merely a map. Its only job is telling the host server exactly where to look and what specific file to execute. The server must now rebuild that missing node modules folder natively. It does this by reading the dependency instructions you left in the package.json file. Click the Run npm install button within the cPanel interface and wait for the success notification. This spinning turbine represents the background process coming online. Click the Restart App button to officially boot up the continuous Node.js server. Here is our final check. Open your application URL in a fresh web browser tab to verify the live connection. If everything is configured correctly, your server response will render on the page. If you encounter a 503 service unavailable error, recheck your startup file for typos and verify that the npm install actually completed. This deployment pipeline makes shared hosting a viable environment for robust backends. You now have a repeatable workflow to launch active applications, proving that professional backend deployment doesn't always require an extensive code scrubber.